Claire de Lune. So it's just the opening section of it, and the whole piece is like it's got 3 against 2. It's all rubato. It's all comes and goes. It's actually not that easy to play on the strings, but I'm working on it. So as I wanted to start with this whole concept that some things are not written in stone, and yet they seem to work. So just planting that out there. The reason I came up with this idea of fluidity for my talk today was, so Bill said, what's the title of your talk weeks before this? And I was like, I don't know. And then that night I took a yoga class, and I take this yoga class every Tuesday night with a man named Adil Pakilwala. He's in Bellevue, Washington State. And he's one of the founders of Purna Yoga, which is the type of yoga that I practice and that I teach. It's a yoga that has a lot of meditation elements in it. And it's alignment-based asana. Anyway, he teaches an advanced class for students and teachers Tuesday night from Washington. So on the East Coast, it's like 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. So you have to be sort of like, I'm going to do this, right, to take this class. And we were warming up, and in the first hour, you end up doing some repetitions of sun salutations. So if you don't know that about yoga, it's like just an ancient series of movements. And he said, before you start, I want you to think about, why are you doing this? So sort of an innocuous question, why are you doing this? Comes up a lot in yoga class, right? But why are you doing this? Why are you taking this class tonight? Why are you doing sun salutations? Why do you do yoga? Why are you here? Why are you doing this? And not superficial, like, oh yeah, I want a young spine. I want to be able to walk around the neighborhood. But why? Why are you doing this? And really think about that and be honest with yourself. Do you think it's cool? Do you think, whatever. Be really honest with yourself before you start moving. And then keep that integrity of each movement, which is actually like not that easy to do. So I stood there for a while and thought, okay, why am I here? Yes, I want to have a fluid spine, and the word fluidity just kept coming to me over and over. That's all I could hear. I thought, all right, I want a fluid body, a fluid spine. I want to, get all the crinks out so I could move freely and hike and do things. And I want a fluid mind. I want to be open to new ideas and learning new things. I want my emotions to be fluid. I want to be open to people, to relationships, and I thought, that's it. I just want to be fluid. And I kept asking myself, why? So why do you want to be fluid? Why is it important to do these things, to feel these things? Why? Okay, yeah, well, it's good for your health. It's good for the neighborhood. It's good for my marriage, But why? Why? And I kept thinking about that. And what came to me was, I need to be fluid. I need to be able to do things physically, think things, feel things, so that I am open, an open vessel to do what I am here to do. So the like millions of onion layers of whys. And I forget who introduced this idea to me. And it might be the man I'm quoting today, David Friedman. But it's like to keep asking why. Like, why? It's like, okay, like, why am I here, in Franklin? Why do I love like adding music and message so much together? What does this do? Why? Like, there's always another level within why. So the fluidity comes through all these layers. The fluidity comes comes to it just answered every question for me. Like every time I asked a question, is like, I want to be fluid. Why? So I could flow. Why? So I could flow feeling. Why? So that I could be here, so that we could share these ideas, so that we could join in community, so that the things that I am, that I have to offer, I can share, and that I can receive, and I can hear what you have to say, and I can come to this place that has so many beautiful influences of you, and and feel that. And one of my favorite composers, songwriters in the New Thought world, her name is Jana Stanfield. And she has this great song. It's called I'm Not Lost, I'm Exploring. She's great. She really walks her talk. She actually does a lot of work in Cambodia and Thailand. She and in the United States and in Canada. She works with young girls and their education, and she works with setting up schools for young girls and finding clean water and respect for young girls. That's her two main things. She does like I don't know what you call those, like spiritual vacation tours, where you go and help. Yeah. And she also wrote this song called All the Good, which traditionally is sung in a million languages, but I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do everything that the world needs, but the world needs everything that I can do. So I was thinking that I need to be fluid because the world needs me the same way the world needs you. So I started thinking about fluidity. I actually looked it up, because not only is fluidity like graceful movement and flowing, like the most obvious thing you think of right away, but it's also change. Like a fluid situation is a situation that's apt to change. So what a wonderful concept this is, fluidity. Everything is moving along, as in a graceful, smooth manner, and is subject to change at any time. So like that's it, right? That's the crux. That's life, as far as I'm concerned. And so what keeps us in being fluid? What keeps our lives and our our thoughts, our bodies, our emotions, what keeps us from being fluid? Why do we get stuck? So, we wear these grooves, these patterns in our behavior that we don't even realize we start building up, and we kind of get stuck there. So, it made me think about this book, The Thought Exchange. It's written by David Friedman. Thank you so much for the bookmarks, because I had like paper towels in there when I arrived. Go with what goes. David Friedman he's a composer, a Broadway conductor. He was the original musical director for Pippin on Broadway. He's been writing music for Good Morning America, for like, I don't know, 30 years or something. And he leads these workshops in New York called Thought Exchange workshops. Also, his husband is a Unity minister, and he's closely associated with the Unity of New York, and I think it's Norwich, Connecticut. But I was the music director at the Unity of the Keys in Key West, and I had David come as a guest. I heard that he wanted to visit Key West, and even though he's a big maha in New York, I said, well, I'll ask him. So, so he said yes. So he came and he spoke and played music for us and did a workshop with us. So in New York, once a week, he does these 2 workshops. They're thought exchange workshops, which is this concept that he has, and it's about working to unstick yourself, to be unstuck. And he works with musicians and singers particularly, and he works with people who aren't musicians. It's just open meeting. I don't know how many years he's been doing this. When I met him, it was at least 23 years, so maybe 33 years. He's still doing it. And this idea of the thought exchange is you get stuck in this groove, right? You get stuck in this thought and it's painful. So you replace it with something, but you never deal with it. And it just keeps coming back. So in order to really replace it, you have to deal with it, is a kind of a basic idea. So I'm going to read a few little bits and pieces from out of here. Yeah. Well, he starts talking about affirmations. So all of us have done affirmations probably, or heard affirmations. And he said, I was struck by the fact that most affirmations seem to be more about wishes, hopes, and even delusions than about truth or about spirit. People were saying things like, I am a famous, successful artist, and millions of people pay me a fortune to see my work. And I would think, no, you're not. That's not what's happening. That's not true. It seemed as though people were thinking that if they said something strongly enough, frequently enough, and in exactly the right way, that whoever it was that was out there giving out such things would hear them and give them what they wanted. And I thought to myself, well, that's ridiculous. That can't be how the world works. So in my own quest for success, I had tried affirmations, and sometimes they worked and sometimes they didn't. So I thought, well, maybe I wasn't doing them correctly or wasn't repeating them often enough. But as I listened to this group I had affirming, it became clearer to me that affirmations were at best unpredictable. So this led me to wonder if there might be some way to go deeper into the truth and find a more practical way to tap into the infinite resources of the universe, bring about not only results, but an understanding of how and why these results occurred. I wanted to understand what exactly went on when we were affirming, to know more about the truth of why affirmations did or didn't work. In short, I wanted to take it from the area of wishing and hoping into the area of living and working with the truth. So in his workshops, he asks those big questions, like, why do you do this? Why do you think this? One of his ideas is that everything that you feel creates a sensation. You feel it. And if it's painful, you tend to avoid it in some way because it's painful. And like I said earlier, you might replace it with something else. A sensation, you call it intolerable, but that's a thought. It's not actually a fact. Although, I mean, of course, there are painful situations that are physically difficult, of course. But he's talking more about emotional and thoughts at this point. And those can be so painful that at the time that they occur, you really and truly cannot deal with them. But he's saying you hold on to those. So many people we hold on to things from our childhood. And we say, oh, well, I'm a shy person. I've always been that since I've been a kid. So I can't deal with this big group of people. But you're not a kid anymore. You're not that same person. So yeah, you can, but you have to get to the truth of it, of knowing, okay, this is what it felt like as a kid. It was painful, it was uncomfortable, and I'm not that person anymore. So I can feel that discomfort, and I can think another thought like, today I am not that person. So something like that. I have to say with a caveat that in dealing with people with post-traumatic stress, this is not such a simple thing. This is not just a thing that you can like say to yourself, like, oh, I'm not going to feel that pain, and today I'm better, and bingo, you are. I mean, it takes time, and facing some things that are truly horribly painful is not simple, and it's not easy. So I am not making light of it, and I don't think David is either. But his whole workshop is based on not ignoring your thoughts, but in recognizing your grooves and your patterns and getting on to the next, and getting on to the present moment, which is where everything actually happens. So yeah, the past is so important. It brought you here. And the future is very important because it awaits. But this is the moment you're in. This is the moment that if you really want to feel life, you can feel fully. So his thought exchange is to help you get unstuck, to help you let go of things that are not helping you, or just to help you let go of things and be in the present moment, to be open to what's yours to do. So I found it fascinating, and working with him as a singer, and my whole music team working with him, was he uses this idea. So you get up there to sing and you sing a song, and then he goes, okay, now sing it as if you were whispering it in my ear and I'm your best friend. Or sing it as if the guy across the street really has to hear this. It's life or death. He's got to hear this right now. He just gave us all these different ways of looking at just a song, and suddenly your whole motivation was different. Your whole way of thinking about the song was different. So that's how we worked with the singers. I haven't actually been to his workshop for non-singers, but he said it's a similar process. So in order to direct ourselves back to the sensations we've avoided and need to be able to tolerate, what we do is create things in the present that will actually generate them again. That's why we lose all our money, we have terrible breakups, we get sick. This is David's quote. If we use these incidents to allow us to experience the sensations and be with them, rather than trying to get back to the original incident, we just bring them back again. So he's saying to heal it, don't go from the sensation it created, go to the actual incident. So, someone hit you, it hurt. So you feel the hurt, but the incident was actually just this one moment. So if you can let go of that moment, you can let go of the sensation. So that's more what he's saying. You feel something as if it feels it hurts, it contains pain, but it's your thought that says it's intolerable. So remember that sensations are a very important part of the healing process. They're not to be gotten rid of, but they're just signposts showing us what we're thinking and ultimately how to heal. So I'm skipping over a lot of this. So I gave a lot of thought to how do we get unstuck? How do I get unstuck? What do I do? So I do yoga. We stretch, we walk, play tennis, I don't know, whatever you do. And how do we get out of these grooves? How do we get out of these emotional grooves? Well, one is by recognizing them. So we do that with contemplation. We do that with being honest with ourselves, which is so hard. So these moments in meditation when we're honest with ourselves. And also, in order to get over these grooves, you have to really think you can. So you have to have some faith and some trust and some love for yourself to know that you are capable of basically doing anything you want, but you are capable. You are capable of being in this present moment, being open to receive what is yours to do. And the world needs absolutely all of us, every single little thing that we do, that we contribute, like that creates the fabric of this. So why don't we love ourselves enough to like say, I am that important, I am that beautiful, that I need to be in this moment and be open so that I can give what I am because I'm worthy. So some of this fluidity has to do with cultural influences too. I was just doing some searches just to see randomly what came up when I put fluid and fluidity in the internet. I was just curious where it would take me. And one of the places it took me was this author. His name is Frank Buris. He's a travel writer, but he was talking about how he's lived in Africa and he's lived in Thailand and he speaks Swahili and he speaks like 10 languages. And he was talking about cultural influence on the way you think. He was talking about it in terms of language, how language creates certain images, and language isn't just words, but it's concepts. So when you learn to speak another language, you think conceptually a little different. I don't know if any of you speak another language or, so I know this, I'm not fluent even. And when I'm in Spain and I speak Spanish, I think differently, I react differently. But it's not just the language, it's the whole culture that influences us. It influences how we see ourselves, how we treat people. And so there's a cultural stuckness. In order to be culturally fluid, well, I think myself, it's important to either travel physically or have contact with other cultures, or at least read about them, at least be curious about them and see how people, like how different people look at the same situation. I think you may have all heard the story about an African tribe where somebody messes up and instead of punishing him, they put him in the middle of a circle and surround him, telling him how worthy he is. So like it's a very different concept. So just culturally different. And our culture, it puts a lot of definitions on us. It puts a lot of definitions on us by gender, by economics, by class, by our jobs, by our looks, by where in the country you're from. So in order to become fluid, you need to kind of supersede your cultural influences, your gender influences, you have to look at them and say, oh, I grew up in the United States in New York City. I have this smart aleck sense of humor from that. Well, that was the past. So, oh yeah, I see that. Oh, I like to talk fast. I like to walk fast. Oh, well, that's just a cultural. I don't have to do any of those things. Like if you can get honest with yourself and think about, okay, where am I stuck? I'm stuck in the way I was raised, where I was born. Not stuck like this isn't like a bad thing, but just to define it, to go, why do I think this way? Why do I act this way? Why do I think this way? Why do I react this way? Well, some of it's my experiences. It's where I grew up. It's how I grew up. It's fine. It doesn't mean that's the end all definition, but it explains why you feel a certain way or react a certain way. So you can look at it and go, okay, well, I'm influenced by that. I was told that girls do this. But I know from experience that girls can do anything they want, you know, that my husband and I had a sound company and I was on the other end lifting whatever he was lifting. So, true, he could probably lift more than I on my own, but I just mean you don't have to be defined by it. You just have to recognize it. So that's another way to get stuck. And to get unstuck is to see the places where you're doing it to yourself, see the places where we've been influenced. So I want to know what you think about that. Does it make you uncomfortable to think that? No. Have you seen how that happens in your life? How you say, I keep doing this. Why do I keep doing this? I mean, we all do something and it's like, why do I keep doing this?
No. I think people use it as an excuse, so they don't have.
That's interesting. What do you think? I thought you were going to say something.
Seems like when I was a drug and alcohol counselor, one of the things we had to deal with was that the people came in having my office. Well, wait, well, I just turned myself. Oh, I shouldn't say this.
Oh, I'll just repeat the answers too.
When I was doing addiction counseling, the biggest issue is that people had come in with years of self-identification that they are an addict. My friends are addicts. This is who I am. And it was extremely difficult for them to imagine not being that, because we described it as the hole in the donut. They stopped that behavior, they would be nothing. They would be nobody. And I think so many times the issue of getting stuck is identifying yourself as whatever. I am this. And if letting go of that is really hard, because you're letting go of the illusory self.
This whole idea of being nothing so that you could be filled by what's going around you is a frightening thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But there's also the truth to, who you think you are. And, knowing that you have a chemical imbalance that makes you a drug addict, or makes you an addictive person, means that that's something you need. It's not like you can just say that doesn't exist. It doesn't have to define everything, but it's one of your truths, so you have to figure out how to deal with it. Sorry, you're gonna say. I can repeat it if
Thank you. I found that before I truly began to know who I am, when I was especially a kid and young 20s, when somebody came to me and said, "Oh my God, you are so strong," that was wonderful. But because I didn't know who I was and I was so thirsty for that, I became somebody who couldn't tell you when I was weak. I didn't want to break your image of me. If you told me you're so brave, then I didn't give myself permission to be scared. And I try to be mindful of that now with children and say, in this moment, you were very, very brave.
Mm.
You know, if other times you're scared, that's okay. So that was my say. Yeah. Hmm? Yes, one of those.
No, that's really good because so these are part of the things that we tell ourselves that like even the things that we tell ourselves that aren't painful, you know, even the things that we tell ourselves that are wonderful, you can get stuck in that groove too. Yeah. So and it's like I'm going to challenge all of you here today to try and break a groove. And it could be so simple as brushing your teeth with a non-dominant hand. You know, like if you're right-handed, you probably always brush your teeth with your right hand. Okay, use the left hand. Or if you, uh, let's see, if you put your left leg in your pants first or something, reverse it. Just do one thing tomorrow morning that is completely off your groove, just to show you that you can't break. I mean, we have grooves for everything. We're like totally grooved. We're like just grooving along there, and until something like shakes you up, you know. Like I was on a groove. I went to the grocery store, you know, to do errands, and I came back and the milk had spilled in the bag and the meat wasn't good, and it was like I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be that kind of day, and I went, no, it's not. No, it's not. The milk spilled. That's a drag. The meat's not good. That's a drag. But so it's just that. And then the rest of the day is open. It's that moment only, exactly. Yeah. So like for me, that was like breaking some scar, or breaking a groove. But yeah, so I challenge you to look at your lives and find a place where you're really in a groove, and do one physical thing that's really off, because it just like it does something for your mind to show you that you can, and it just shows you how in the groove you are and how you don't really need to be. It's actually really good for your brain to like brush your teeth with your left hand. It like does a cross, it builds new neural pathways to do physical things differently. So just to end, I'd like to do a short meditation with you, because one of the things I talked about was you need to believe that you're capable to make changes and grow and break grooves, and which takes self-love and takes making some sort of connection to your internal being. So I don't know if you want to. So sit comfortably if you can, put both feet on the ground and have your hands in your lap with your palms up. And if you're comfortable to close your eyes, do. And if you're not, just softly gaze. And take a deep breath in and out. And just bring your attention to your breath for a moment. And notice how when you pay attention to your breath, it calms down, deepens a little. And now bring your attention to your heart center, which is armpit height in the middle of your chest. Just think about that place in your body. And visualize a light, just a light, a beautiful white, clear light. The heart center in your body, it's like the thinnest veil. It's a place where you can enter to contact the inner you, which is also you. So as you inhale, feel that light growing brighter. And let's give this light a feeling of love, the kind of love that you would show a baby or a puppy when you pat their head, the kind of gentle, nourishing, loving embrace. And feel that feeling of what that feels like. And as you inhale in this light and this feeling grows stronger, on your exhalation, let that feeling and that light spread throughout your entire body, down your arms to your hands, through your torso to your legs, up your spine, up and around your skull, back to your heart. And this feeling, this gentleness, this nurturing, caring love that you're feeling, it's for you. It's you loving yourself. Take a deep inhalation and exhalation, and slowly open your eyes. Thank you.